Brian, what's up, baby? How are you?
Hey guys, how are we doing? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. Wow. People are excited about this, and I'm excited about this. We have
excited or angry? Which one? Yeah, we'll see.
No.
It should be a good conversation either way.
Brother, it's fake outrage. That shit's all bullshit. You're the GOAT. You know you're the GOAT.
Yeah. That is true. There's like, you ever read about that, like the tyranny of the 1% thing? Like there's usually the people that are the most vocal. It feels like it's 50% of all the people, but it's usually a small group. Anyway, good to hear them out, learn something from it, but don't have to over-rotate on it.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, great to have you on. Love you taking the time. I think like a lot of the newer CT heads are kind of like unaware of your like entire history in crypto and like what it's taken to build Coinbase to where it is now. So could you speak a little bit about like the early days and your vision for Coinbase back then and how you've executed on that and how hard it was being like one of the first big crypto companies in the US?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for starting there. A little warm up on the background. But yeah, 2010, I first read the Bitcoin white paper. I was living in San Francisco. I was an early software engineer at Airbnb, and I was trying to help them move money all over the world. I had studied computer science and economics. And I remember in 2010, I read that Bitcoin white paper, and I was like, wow, this is really powerful. It's kind of like the internet, global, decentralized, but instead of for moving information around, it's for moving money. And I had been reading a lot of stuff like Milton Friedman and Ayn Rand, like libertarian stuff in the prior couple of years. And so something about it like captured my attention. I was like, this would be amazing if the world had this open financial system. So I started working on a prototype nights and weekends, applied to Y Combinator. I started going to these like early Bitcoin meetups in San Francisco in 2010, which were Trade Hill, if you remember that exchange, was actually around at that time. Mt. Gox was there at that time. And I remember thinking, actually, I had this thought like, oh, maybe I'm too late because Trade Hill already existed and Mt. Gox already existed. And I was like, oh man, maybe I missed my shot. But applying to Y Combinator, they gave me the first $150K check as a seed investment. That kind of convinced me, all right, I'm going to quit my job, really go for this. And was lucky enough to find Fred Ursum as the co-founder. Most of the early days was just like trying to get anybody to care about the app whatsoever. And once we got like a simple way to buy, sell Bitcoin, it really started to take off. And then you're just trying to like ride the tiger at that point, and like super hyper growth at times, rode through all the cycles of up and down. There was periods where we had to like we lost 25-30% of the personnel year over year in down markets. We had amazing fundraise rounds where like everybody wanted to invest. We had terrible fundraise rounds where like, we were desperate to just get one term sheet, and eventually went public in 2021, which was a cool 10-year journey, trying to really professionalize the company, get it to scale, build out a real executive team, getting the S&P 500. That was a massive win. And, suing the SEC and Gary Gensler was another big one, just because I felt like he was trying to kill the whole industry. And so we had to fight back.
That was lit. Bro, I think people don't even realize how hard it was like to survive as a crypto exchange for that long. People are completely unaware, I think. Like they don't even know the name Trade Hill, like Mt. Gox, like Bittrex, all of these other exchanges that were like super early to crypto didn't make it. I guess, could you speak a little bit about the landscape? Like so the Mt. Gox story, I think a lot of people know generally what happened with Mt. Gox, but like, what made you guys different from all the other exchanges that failed and didn't succeed over that decade period of time?
Yeah, well, as with everything, it's a mix of skill and luck, right? So there was some stuff that we got right, which was we were one of the first companies to get a US bank relationship, which was actually Silicon Valley Bank at that time in the early days. And so we were, for a period of years, we were the only place for someone in the US at least to come and connect a bank account and be able to easily buy Bitcoin. And so that came from a lot of our work on compliance, security, and just being based in the United States, putting our name on it, taking kind of a regulated approach. We were going out and trying to get money transmission licenses. We worked with lots of different law firms and had the right backers to allow us to get some of those bank partnerships. That really allowed us to get off the ground. So that was some of it in the early days, but there was also some luck. I mean, there was definitely moments early on where, we were like 10 people and the amount of deposits people were putting on the site was growing week over week. And I was like, all these hackers were trying to break into our systems. We didn't have a big, sophisticated security team. And I remember there was this one vulnerability that somebody broke into one of our customer support agents' accounts, and they were issuing themselves refunds like at a rapid clip. And we just happened to notice it while we were sitting there at lunch in San Francisco, and we were able to shut it down. I think we lost $50,000. But if that attack had happened while we were sleeping on the West Coast, we would have been woken up in the morning and the company might have been insolvent. Like there was a couple
crazy.
There was a couple coin flips like that could have gone either way. So yeah, a mix of skill and luck.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah, I know that the timeline has been like very aggressive towards you the past week or so for some stuff that's probably like somewhat out of your control. And I know how it is being on CT. I kind of get the same thing where it's like stuff that you do, you may not know how it's impacting other people and the trenches and so on and so forth. But I guess the question is like, how do you think about like balancing? You have a ton of responsibilities as CEO of Coinbase. How do you think about those responsibilities versus like the people who may not know everything else that you're doing and like their relationship with you as like a personality online?
Yeah, well, it was a good wake up call for me, because I think I realized that I hadn't been clear enough with people just about this particular community that was following what I was saying on X and really looking for signals about, okay, he's signaling to us that like this it's time for it to run up, or different trades that they wanted to make. We built Base with this idea of like, how do we innovate on financial services, build a path towards decentralization that lots of people can build on top of it. And I'm very pro economic freedom. That's the mission of Coinbase. So I want everyone to be able to build on it. That means there's going to be lots of different constituencies. Like in any given day, I might talk with folks like you who are more in like that trader, the trenches, as you call it, right? Yeah. I might also be talking to like some giant bank, some government, that's trying to build on top of this, like the latest fintech. There's a bunch of AI agents now transacting on Base. So we do have certainly a large number of constituents, and it's my job to kind of go understand each of those and empathize with them. And in this case, I kind of fucked it up, to be honest, in the sense that I completely misread what one community was reading into my stuff. So yeah, I tried to make it clear going forward whenever I miss something like that. Just all you can do is, I think, try to set expectations clearly going forward. And there are going to be lots of ways that we can support people building on Base with investments and in some cases integrating into our products. But unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be in a position where I can guarantee somebody listing on Coinbase or like pump a certain coin or anything like that. It's not something I would personally do. So yeah, I'm 43 now too. So I don't know, maybe I'm a boomer. And I have to put a lot of my time. I'm just like putting on a suit and tie, going to DC, trying to get the Clarity Act passed.
Yeah, that's what we talked about before you came on. It's hopefully so silly.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this will benefit everyone in crypto, including meme coin traders and everyone. But we'll see. I think that's where I can add the most value. And if I've got a great team under me too of different people with different skill sets that complement areas where I'm not as strong.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think CT and like the culture around crypto can be so abrasive and lean negative versus like talking about something productive or positive, like you just said, the work that you're doing in Washington, D.C. in regards to the Clarity Act? What is it about crypto 2026 right now that you think leads people to behave that way or respond that way?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of the nature of the internet, right? It's been around a long time. I think I don't expect people to like give me any free passes or anything like that. And what I've noticed is that when I do see people that are super upset about something, oftentimes I'll ping them and they'll be like, "Holy shit! Like he actually responded, and he wants to know what's going on." And then they're super nice to me, right? Because I think it's just people who are frustrated, and I get it. And they don't think that they think when they're posting that they're not like talk. If we met in person, they would never say that to my face. Yeah. They're just kind of venting and like shouting that into the ether because they don't think it's like a human being on the other end. Whenever I've gotten on the phone with somebody who's super upset, they're like they're like, actually, I'm such a big fan of Coinbase, and like
10 out of 10 times.
Yeah. So your question is a good one for all communication on the internet.
True.
By the way, it happens inside companies too. Like sometimes, I'll be on Slack or something, and this these two people are super pissed at each other or whatever. I'm like, hey, get on a phone call. Suddenly you can hear intonation in people's voice. They always say like communication it's like 10% verbal. A lot of it is about the tone. It's about body language. So even just you guys, thank you for having me come on here. Hopefully people can see a little bit more of my tone and body language and get a sense of what we're all about.
I think that is one issue that plagues crypto is like people are usually confined to the tweets and stuff. And that's why I've pushed guys like Z and Thread Guy and stuff to get in front of a camera and just speak. Cause I just feel like it reads so much more authentic, more genuine. It's more difficult to dehumanize a person because what you said is fucking bang on the money 100% and consistent across every community on the internet. You're not really treated as a person, more so like a character in the fucking film. What's your favorite thing about crypto culture?
Well, to me, it's like I got into, by the way, I want to ask you guys a question after this too. But for me, I got into crypto because I'm super into freedom and economic freedom. I just think like there's so many people around the world that they get their wealth eroded from them by inflation, like fiat currency, where the value gets eroded, or they're getting nickel and dimed on like these fees to just store their money securely, to move it around, like basic property rights. And so, I'm an investor, but I'm not like an active day trader or something like that. And so that's actually a weakness of mine. When I co-founded Coinbase, I co-founded it with Fred Ursum, and he actually was a trader coming from Goldman Sachs. So we had kind of both sides of it. I initially got into crypto because I was thinking, oh, this is going to be like a global payment system where everything is fast and cheap and cross-border. And we are seeing that now with stablecoins, which is really cool. But the trading stuff is just as important. And like, I'll tell you maybe a little bit about the intersection of those things, like, because trading can bring economic freedom as well. It's like, first of all, lots of people they were storing all their money in cash in some local fiat currency. The value is being eroded. Now they can store it in Bitcoin. They can store it in USDC. But then they also, like, most people are just living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have any ability to invest. And there's something like 4 billion people who don't have any access to a brokerage or US companies or anything like that. And so now with like tokenization of equities, which is coming to base, I think people around the world will be able to own NVIDIA or whatever like company they want, Tesla, SpaceX, and Coinbase, hopefully at some point too. And they can have real wealth that can grow in high quality investments. It's economic freedom. Like that's the thing that keeps me, even if like my day sucks and I got yelled at and like the people in DC are telling me I'm an idiot or whatever it is, Jamie Dimon hates me, whatever it is, I'm like, we got to go create more economic freedom in the world. And that's what keeps me getting out of bed in the morning. But yeah, if I can ask you guys, like, what do you think Coinbase should be doing better? I mean, I like to learn in these situations too. So if you were in my shoes, be totally honest, like what's the thing you think we could be doing better going forward?
Yeah. Great question to us. I think that Coinbase has done a great job on like integrating Base into the Coinbase native app and like the Coinbase wallet. I think it's really cool. Some of the features that you guys have, like being able to do things on chain without having to force people to go create a wallet and save their seed phrase, doing all these XYZ things kind of just under the hood. I think that's really powerful for people. And like also you've spoken a little bit about in the past, like Morpho, I think Jesse spoke about it last episode. But all these different like crypto native applications, being able to access them directly in Coinbase, I think is really cool. As far as like what you guys can do better, I think like sometimes people feel that Coinbase kind of picks and chooses like which products they want to highlight, which products they want to focus on the most. And sometimes the market is not reflecting that that's what you guys should be focusing on. And I think when some of those products that you are focusing on don't end up doing all that well, people are like, well, we feel slighted because we spent our time building on Base and we did all these things. We directed all of our energy towards this. And we felt like we didn't get as much, like, I guess, eyes or whatever, or support or from like the top of command. And so I would say that's like the biggest thing. I know it's difficult with like the listings around certain coins and things like that, but that's also a huge one for teams. Especially when there's like other exchanges that may have been like quicker on the ball with listing things. I think that's like especially where the comparisons are made. And then just like having people on the team who are like closer to the trenches and like closer to trading. I think Kobe obviously was like a great hire, like one of the best hires that
100%.
you guys could have made and like acquired. But that's because Kobe knows really well all of crypto culture. He knows extremely well what all the nuances, like all the soft stuff, like that's the in between the lines, things that you need to read and kind of understand. Kobe's really good at that. I think having people like him and more like the younger cohort of people who know what's going on chain and like know what L2s should be focusing on or like what people are interested in trading is big. And I know you guys talk to people to get more information there all the time. So I think that's also really important. Yeah, I think those would be the two main things.
W advice, WZ.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off what he said, I'm not really the technical guy. That's above my pay grade. But just to kind of piggyback off what he said, as far as just community support, just being more involved in the conversation, joining shows like ours more regularly, Thread Guy, just kind of, showing up and talking directly to CT, because it obviously is like the core of what you guys do and where you came from. And you're like one of the most successful examples in a person and a product in that regard. So people are always going to kind of look at you and for your opinion and your advice and what you're doing, whether or not you want that. Like he said, I think Kobe was a fucking phenomenal hire. I think just like giving him a bigger role. And I don't know, I think a lot of like crypto native companies and products sleep on like the community management aspect of it. It's debatably, in my opinion, one of the most important pieces of it. And just like having a clear line of communication between you and like the core crypto community, I think is like super, super important. And just like kind of being on top of that. But the Kobe thing was, I mean, that's one of the best guys you could hire for something like that. Coming on shows like this just to talk through things, like it's fucking, again, it's crazy to me that you could be doing all the things that you're doing that are super plus EV and positive for crypto in Washington, D.C. And then you maybe missed the mark on some like superficial funny shit because you're 40, like you said, 43 years old and you didn't realize the fucking ramifications of changing your PFP on Twitter. It's fucking ridiculous. And you really only see this shit in crypto. But I think just being candid and honest about it is super relatable and genuine. It's like, oh yeah, this is a fucking real guy. You saw a picture and changed his PFP. Like we don't need to fucking torment this guy or harass him for a week about it. And yeah, just like, yeah, that's it. The community stuff, community support.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. That's good stuff. Yeah. I mean, I think you guys are spot on. Yeah. In terms of listings, there definitely was some great base projects that we should have listed sooner. And, you know, we screwed that up. And yeah, there is a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes with these projects that we can't, unfortunately, we don't want to like out any of it publicly, where we're trying to like coach them a little bit on, okay, hey, it'd be nice if you checked X and Y and Z box from an SEC like securities point of view. We're not going to be able to do it unless, you know, you get there. We obviously don't want to say any of that publicly. But sometimes our risk tolerance, I think, has been too low. Like other exchanges went first and didn't see any issue with it. And we were just caught up in our own internal bureaucracy. So we're definitely, you guys are spot on with that. Yeah. And I love the idea of getting closer into the trenches, the community. Jordan, Kobe has been helping with that quite a lot. And yeah, like just community support. So if there's any other podcasts you think I should be doing, maybe I'll ping Thread Guy after this and we can see what happens.
Thread's good. Thread's really good.
You definitely should.
Recommend Thread.
And even by the way, just asking us for our advice on that, I think things like that are great too. It's very rare, I feel like, that somebody in your position would kind of flip it and ask for what our honest advice is. And it reads as very genuine. Like you can tell that you really want to kind of get to the center of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think what you said about economic freedom is like relates so well to why like on-chain even is what it is. Like that's actually why it is what it is, because of those same reasons where people don't have access to all of these different assets, or they're trying to flip XYZ into a lot. Like that's why that exists. The same principles that you have are literally the same principles that these people trading all these things have. So it's definitely an interesting overlap. And I think people hearing from you more will see directly like what you're all about and what you care about. So I think it is really important. But could you talk a little bit about, we talk about the on-chain stuff. Could you talk a little bit about the Clarity Act and like how you've been working through that and like where you think it is, where it's at?
Yeah, sure. So it's been great. We've got the Genius Act passed, or, you know, not we, but like the whole crypto community, the Senate, the Congress. Last year, that was a big unlock for stablecoins. We saw hundreds of US large companies start to integrate stablecoins in the 3 months following that act. So I'm very optimistic that the Clarity Act is going to get passed here. I just spent the last, actually 2 days earlier in this week, I was in DC again and meeting with senators on both sides of the aisle, trying to whip votes. I don't know if you guys ever see House of Cards? Whipping votes was like a term I learned there, but apparently it's a real thing in DC. So, it's interesting. Like everyone has got their fingers in this thing now, and the crypto community has an opinion, but so do the banks, so do like the Indian tribes, like because they're worried about prediction markets. The law enforcement groups, like all these groups have lobbyists, and they're influencing things in DC. Look, the good news is that there was just a couple remaining issues that were open, and I think a bunch of the big pieces are falling into place. Even there was one that had nothing to do with us or the crypto, but they were worried about this ethics provision for President Trump, and the White House and the president agreed to an ethics provision. So that's being debated now. And so anyway, long way of saying I'm pretty optimistic this thing's going to get done at this point. 70% of Americans say that they want clear rules for crypto. They're upset that it hasn't happened already. Yeah. Something like 4 million Americans have raised their hand at standwithcrypto.org and said they want to elect pro-crypto candidates. Yep. So yeah, we've done our best to really try to help organize the community, because what I realized was like the power of crypto is that it's decentralized, and that's great. Everyone can build on top of an open platform. But we also need to get organized sometimes, because there was like all the 50 million or so Americans had used crypto, but we weren't electing pro-crypto candidates. And it wasn't until just in the last few years that started to happen. So hopefully we can get this legislation done, and it will actually unlock a next wave of innovation in crypto.
Awesome. No, great to hear. It sounds like you guys have done a lot of work on it. It's awesome. Could you speak a little bit about like suing Gensler and what that was about? You guys won that right?
Yeah, we've actually won a couple cases now against the SEC.
Give me the context. What did you guys sue them about? What was it?
Yeah. So this was like, back a few years ago. We had, when you go public as a company, you have to describe every single detail of your business to the SEC. Yeah. And they turned over every stone, and then they allowed us to become a public company. Okay. And then about a year later, Gensler and his SEC started coming to us and saying, hey, we're really concerned about all this stuff you're doing. It looks like you're trading securities, but you don't have a license to do that. And we said, well, we've told you everything about our company. You seemed okay with it in the past, but let us know why you think that. Where in the law does it say some definition of this? Because there is like a legal test of whether something is a security or a commodity. And we had been very conservative about that and made sure we were only trading things that were commodities like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And they refused to really tell us any specific reason. In fact, I remember meeting with them sometimes, and I was like, well, we're open, you're the regulator, so just tell us what the rules are and we're happy to comply with it. And I remember Gensler told me one time, he said, I'm not going to give you legal advice. Like, you need to talk to your lawyers.
Like, what?
And we said, okay, well, it's not very helpful. I wish you would just publish the rules so we could all follow it. But, if and he basically was telling us, like, I want you to delist all these assets. And we're like, well, there's nowhere in the law does it say that's the case. And you won't even tell us your legal theory. And if we comply with this, it's kind of just like voluntarily shutting down our business in the United States, which would arguably kind of kill, if everybody did that, it would just kill the industry in the United States writ large. And what I realized is that he didn't really care if it was legal or not. I think what he was doing was, this is all like DC insider stuff that was told to me later. But basically, Gary Gensler wanted to be the Treasury Secretary, and Elizabeth Warren, who was choosing the different regulators, told him, you're not going to get the Treasury Secretary job yet. But this is what under the Biden admin, they said, I want you to be the SEC chair, but I want you to go after this crypto stuff and really curtail it. And if you do a good job, I'll put you up for Treasury Secretary in Biden's second term. Because if you go look at Gary Gensler's, he taught this class at MIT where he actually is very smart. He was like talking about all the benefits of crypto and blockchain, and he clearly gets it. And then suddenly he becomes the SEC chair and he's trying to kill it all unlawfully. Crazy. So anyway, I started asking some people, I was like, should we push back and go to court with them over this? And it's a lot of people would say, as a public company CEO, you should never sue the SEC. I mean, it's like, it's going to put a cloud over your company for years while you're in this litigation. And a lot of public market investors, if they know that a company is suing the SEC, they're just like, this is too complicated. I'm not going to invest in that stock. So I knew that would kind of happen, but our alternative was basically, again, to like shut down the whole industry in the United States unlawfully. So at some point I was like, screw it. We got to push back on this. And so we got some good lawyers. They engaged in an enforcement action against us. We sued them under what's called the Administrative Procedures Act, which is a law that Congress put together, which requires the SEC to engage with industry and publish clear rules. And they had very clearly failed to do that. So they had violated the law.
Wow.
Later, we actually sent them a FOIA request, if you know what that is, like a Freedom of Information Act. As a U.S. citizen, you can ask your government to turn over any document that is not classified because, they work for us in a democracy, right? Yep. Like it's the government for the people, by the people. Mm-hmm. So we actually sent a FOIA request to the SEC and we asked them to send over all their documents and Gary Gensler's text messages about what he was saying about crypto in private. Because I'm pretty sure what he was saying was things like, that this may or may not be a security. We're not really sure, things like that. He, after many rounds of negotiation with them, he came back and the SEC said, actually, Gary Gensler has accidentally deleted his text messages. We can't find them.
That's fucking crazy.
What the fuck?
Have you ever told this story?
There's not on a podcast or anything. There have been some documents.
That is wild.
But by the way, if the government is ever suing you, and as a public company CEO, if you're like, oh yeah, I accidentally deleted all the documents, it's like you'd pay $100 million fine or something. But anyway, in this case, the court actually ruled in our favor and censured them and told them that they had violated their obligations and actually awarded us some damages.
W. Bryant's in the fucking chat. See what I mean, chat? CT?
Yeah, exactly. They're fighting for us on the front lines.
Bro's fighting a good fight.
Bro, I remember fucking
trying my best.
In 2020, I think it was 2023, I was like super bullish on Solana. Naturally, was super bullish on Coinbase too, like my two trades. But Robinhood had Solana on their exchange, and they literally delisted Solana at the stone bottom in 2023.
So fucking
because
insane.
of all the stuff that happened around like FTX and whatever, and the security shit. People were concerned about that. I will always remember that. I will never forget that.
Twitter forgets and flips so quick. It's so interesting to me.
I've been here too long to forget. I don't forget anything.
That one's crazy. That one's crazy.
Well, Ansem, you told me this too. You were like, people are taking shots at you because you guys are on top. And I get that too. It's like, we're seen as like this 800-pound gorilla. So yeah, beat up on them all day. Like they should be doing better. So, it's in some ways, and people wouldn't be doing that stuff if they didn't care either. True, like if they just thought we were it was irreconcilable, they just wouldn't even say anything at all. So anyway, I try to take it as
they care and they do. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you guys ever had like kind of a mob form like that over something about your
yeah.
brother.
Oh my God.
Brother. If there's one thing I clear you on, or two things I absolutely clear you on and have your number on. One, it's CryptoPunks. I have a zombie. You got to step your shit up. And two, it's this. It's this. I've been fucking canceled and dragged through Twitter for 35 different reasons across my 15-year fucking tenure on the internet. It's part of what we do. It is what it is. But I relate one to one. I walk around fucking Beverly Hills all day. I get my 10,000 steps in, and every interaction I have in person is super positive and really nice. And I don't know. It's like it's the internet is not a real place. It's really not.
Yeah,
they care. That's the most important thing.
I love that. I always thought there should be a podcast that's called like Canceled and Proud, and all the guests are just people who've gotten canceled.
Tana Mojo has a podcast called Canceled.
That's
really
good.
Okay.
Yo, we gotta get Brian Armstrong on Tana Mojo's podcast. That's hilarious. He just starts doing his rounds.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, Z and Kobe are really the only two guys that I know that, and Z is obviously, you could speak to it yourself, but you've faced your fair share of what we're describing here, talking about. It's like incredibly hard. I don't know. There's this like cannibalistic nature that comes with like CT and crypto that I've never been fully able to understand, because I don't see that it's in anyone's best interest. And obviously when like market conditions are poor, it's like doesn't help. It's like if people are losing money and, you know, markets are down, people are stuck in crypto the last 2 years, and, you know, traditional like stocks are fucking doing well and everyone's seeing everybody making money in AI and stuff. And you're just sitting there holding your fucking Ethereum bag. It's like, you know, I get it. I understand, but
Yeah.
what do you do when you're not building Coinbase? Give me like a day in the life, like a fun little, what do you like to do? What are your favorite things?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the thing I'm most excited about just broadly is like, how do we use technology to build the future? I'm kind of like a sci-fi guy, like I don't know. I've always wanted to live in the future, even since I was like a little kid. So I mean, first of all, Coinbase is like 120% of my time. It's just kind of, it's all consuming and stressful and stuff. But occasionally I get to work on other stuff too. I co-founded this biotech company, which is doing cool longevity research and bringing drugs to clinical trials in the next year. I co-founded this thing, Research Hub, is trying to accelerate scientific research. There's I like meeting with other entrepreneurs that are just building really cool stuff. I was just talking to this guy who's working on like an offensive hacking company for the US government. And so I put like angel checks into sometimes like things like that I just think are awesome. Honestly, I have no idea if they're even going to make money. I'm just like, that is awesome. I really want to see what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I also just like, I hang out with my family, my dog, I go on hikes. I try to exercise in the morning just to like stay sane and not get burned out by all the stress of work. And I travel a lot. So for work, but I try to mix in fun while I'm there, just like get to see people. And
how big is your dog?
Dinners. How big? Like,
yeah, somebody in chat said you had a big dog.
Oh, it's like,
don't say its name though. They're all asking for its name.
I thought you might ask that. I came prepared. There's not going to be any revealing information, but no, it's like a medium-sized dog. I think I want to say like 65 pounds or something like that. But yeah, we
understand you have important business elsewhere and you need to wrap things up. We're over time a little bit, but you got to come on the show again. We got to make this a reoccurring thing. Anytime.
I'm down. Yeah, maybe next time you guys can teach me more about the trenches, what I'm missing, and get me more plugged in. So thanks for having me on. Appreciate what you guys are doing. And Ansem, thanks for chatting with me over that weekend. That was funny. I remember you asked me like, do you understand what you did when you just posted that? And I was like, maybe. I'm not. Tell me what did I just do?
Yeah. Interesting. Well, no, appreciate you, bro. This is good. I think people are gonna love hearing from you more for sure.
I don't know what you expected to with the chat and with the show and stuff, but the chat's been spamming W Brian the whole way through. Chat loves you. This has been great. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you again soon.
See you soon.
Later.
Listen, chat. W Brian's in the chat. That was fucking awesome.
Oh, he's literally one of the ghosts.
I wish he could have stayed on longer, bro.